Well, how it came to be, I was approached with the idea of doing a podcast. I really love storytelling. And I wanted to find a way to share a version of this country that I love. I had recently seen an interview with Breonna Taylor's boyfriend. And there was a way that he was telling his story that I thought, gosh, we really don't hear stories like that enough. We tell the story of tragedy. We tell the story of sort of who is left behind. But we don't often tell the story of just who people are and allowing their humanity and the importance of their humanity and the importance of their experience and the importance of their own stories to come forward. And so we started pondering the idea of that. And the beauty of it is we started really talking about what identity is, what community is, what success really means to each of us in the group of people that we're trying to come up with this, our little Dear Media family and my team. And when you start looking at those things and unpacking them, it's very different from the stories that are often told. When you're telling a story or telling stories that are about identity, a podcast allows people to drop all their preconceived notions, to actually hear a story and let the truth of their telling, as opposed to having judgment of what someone looks like or what their physical appearance or the facts of their story happen to share with you. But instead, you get to feel what you feel in imagination. It's like reading allows your imagination to do things, and a podcast does it even on another level. There's stories of belonging, there's stories of identity, and it's a varied group. Some people you might have heard of, some people you may have never heard of, but they're people that influence the community around them, and as a result, all of us. So, for example, Deanna Van Buren, who is one of too few Black female architects. She is an architect for restorative justice, which in and of itself, when I heard that, those words strung together, I was like, I need to know more. And so we explore her story. Keir Gaines, who is a Black male therapist, who is really focused on Black people, Black men, Black family, and sort of reframing the identity of what it is and the understanding of what it is to be a man. They're all very unique and different stories and different experiences. It is an anthology, so they're not, chronological in any way, but they're all connected because these are people who have been searching for a sense of belonging for themselves and in turn end up creating a sense of belonging for so many others. One of the things that was really important to me is that these stories were told through their own voice, that it was not a retelling of or my version of what I thought was important about their stories, but their own stories, their voices telling their stories. And Nicole Hill, who does a glorious and extraordinary job of mining these stories and interviewing and talking to these other human beings and getting them to reveal their nature. The experiences and the lives of Black and brown people in this country are so often decontextualized. They're siloed off in different ways, and we don't know where those connection points are. We don't know where your experience heals mine, where your experience changes mine, where my experience expands yours, or gives you more courage, or whatever that is. And so it was really my intention that we would create space for these people to share their stories and then to create context around them. Gosh, it's been really fun and really challenging. This is a collaborative process with what I like to call a coven of ladies. We've been a coven of ladies who have been diving in on subject matter and topics that none of us, I think, have heard explored and explained and unpacked in the ways that I have desired to have them unpacked. And so it's a little bit been like going back to school and like trying to write a school paper. But the difference is that when I was writing school papers, I was rolling my eyes. And when I'm doing this, it's been filled with so much love. And I think the thing that's been the most important to me is finding language that really genuinely honors the person's story and making sure that that is respected and cherished and held while still doing the job that's sort of presenting this story, to hold space for it, and to hold space for it by giving it the right frame and packaging. My partner, Adriana Ambries, she runs my production company. And so as we were talking about what this podcast is and what we wanted it to be and how we wanted to give it a frame, one of the things that I heard Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw say once was, so often experiences get lost because there's no frame for which to hold them, to see them, to know that they exist. And so I think a title actually really does create a frame for a version of storytelling. Adriana suggested that we do a take on the Langston Hughes poem, I Am America, or I Too Sing America. And it was so perfect. And it's strange because it's almost like 100 years ago that this poem was written. It still has so much resonance for where we are now in this country, and particularly for this podcast, for the kinds of stories that we're telling, that are stories that to me really are emblematic of the America that I know, the America that I'm so proud to be a part of, and that we don't hear enough of. And so it brings those stories to the forefront and allows us to have a sense of claim in this country, that we are America. And these stories are the stories of America. And so the title really is a play and an homage and inspired by Langston Hughes.